for joining me for Sweet Pea Paper's Crafty Christmas in July 2024. If you are following along or you're new and you're just learning of the collaboration today, you can follow along. Just check out that hashtag. You can use the hashtag Crafty Christmas in July 24. Go to my description box and you'll see all the participants. And that way you can click on their videos and check out what they have created this week and last week, and follow along all month. There's going to be a lot of Christmas inspiration. I want to share with you what I made this month. I love making paper flowers, although I don't know that I'm the best at making them. However, my skills are improving, and I think the more that I do it, the better I will get at it. So I used scrapbook paper to create these flowers, and they were cut out on my Cricut, and then I assembled them. You're gonna notice that I didn't use floral type paper. If you're new to me, you'll know that I like to think outside of the box most of the time. And so I like to do things a little bit different. So on the poinsettias, I used paper that has just a Christmas pattern on it, and instead of the chrysalis in the center, I used buttons, and I thought that was fun. And then on this one, which I really love, because it's a rose pattern, I used plaid, and then on all of them, I used stickles. And in this one, in the center, and I'll show you a close-up, there's a big metal button, and I love the way they turned out. Also, I want to be sure to mention that Sweet Pea Papers is doing a giveaway. So go to her Facebook group and you can enter her giveaway by posting in her Facebook group. That will be listed in my description box.
All right, my friends, let's get started putting these flowers together. Now, I don't give tutorials on how I use my Cricut because honestly, I'm not an expert. I'm learning as I go. So I just basically found a pattern for flowers on the Cricut design system, and I went ahead and followed the instructions via the Cricut and had it cut it out. Of course, I chose my paper. I think they had showed the example with plain paper, but I just don't feel like I would ever use plain paper for something like this. So I chose this fun patterned paper. You can see I'm going around each of the leaves with some ink just because there was a little bit of like white around the edges and I didn't want that to show. Now the centers, you see where I'm bending them, that was embossed on the Cricut machine, so I can just use my fingers and bend those and it'll give them more shape. I wanted to let you know that you also can create these totally by hand. What I mean is you can use your scissors, draw out a pattern, and then just cut them. I've done that with more of a rose shape, but they're super easy to do. You can see that I'm using my hot glue gun and putting a small dab of glue and layering these petals on top of one another. I'm using hot glue because it dries much quicker than any sort of liquid glue. I'm going to put a button in the center of this one, and I like to scratch them up with my sandpaper to get the shiny surface off so that whatever I use to adhere it to has something to grip a hold of. If you decide to do that as well, just be sure to wipe your button off onto something to get the dust off, because if you don't get the dust off, it sort of defeats the purpose. When I glue down buttons, cabochons, or flatbacks, I do use gem tack. This one is complete. I think it's pretty cute. I like the button in the center, and I wish I could see the leaves a little bit better, but that's okay. Next time I'll try to situate them so they show a little bit more. I didn't need to show you how I made the second one because it was basically the same way as I made the first one, but I'm going back now and I'm just adding a little bit of silver paint just to give it an accent, and I like it, but it's not quite enough, so I'm going to go back with my stickles and add those also to the petals. I'm going to go ahead and use silver stickles on this one, and I think the other one too, and then I realized I actually have some green stickles, so I'm going to put a little bit of that on the leaves as well. In just a second, I'm going to show you a close-up. I feel like it's a little bit hard to see the stickles on camera, but you can definitely see them in person. I've grabbed my yellow stickles because I have a yellow button here in the center of this one, so I'm going to add some stickles to that. I've grabbed a brighter light and I want to show this to you up close using the bright light because I think you can see the stickles on the button and even on the petals. And here's the first one. Hang tight, we're going to start the third flower. This is in a rose shape. So I have to admit this one was a little tougher for me, and I'm not sure why. Maybe because there was a lot of petals and they were a very different shape. They're a little bit harder to bend and get into the proper shape. And then like a couple of them, my mat didn't cut them right. So I had some technical difficulties, but all in all, once we get to the end, I absolutely love the end result. So you can see that I'm bending the flower petal back, and you are supposed to do that to help it be in a natural flower petal shape. You see this here, I take these two pieces, I push them together, I'm holding them down, hot gluing them because that dries fairly quickly. While I'm pinching the hot glue, I'm just taking the leaf and rolling it back. So that's what I'm going to do to all of these before I start assembling them. I wanted to mention that you can use a pen or a pencil or whatever you have that's this shape, and you can roll the leaf around it and it gives it a really nice petal shape. I was surprised. I don't think that when the flower petals were cut out, it cut out a base. So these ones that are an awkward shape, I'm going to just use that as the base. I'm going to start hot gluing them together, and this is one of those things where you might want to have one that you're considering a practice flower and then learn from that and go from there, because this is the part I struggled with. I couldn't remember if I should start from the center and build out or start from the outside and build in. So, and I didn't want to take the time to look it up, and I know I probably should have, but that's how I roll. So I went ahead and started with the bigger leaves on the outside, and then I'm starting to add the smaller leaves onto the inside. You can see the flower is taking shape now, and the center is getting tighter, but what I'm finding is that some of the leaves are just a little bit big for the center. So I ended up actually trimming some of the edges and the bottom so I could get them down in there. I chose a really cool round silver button to put in the center. I had a small white button in there, but I didn't like it. So I changed my mind and I'm adding this nice big silver one. I'm going to add some silver stickles to the petals and some green stickles to the leaves, and then I'm going to show you an up close. Here it is up close. I hope you like it. I really love the way this one turned out. I like the feeling that it has because I used scrapbook paper, so the petals are like nice and thick, and I think that feels really nice. And these are going to be beautiful embellishments on gifts. I hope to see you again next week when I share how I repurpose Christmas cards. Thanks for watching. See you soon.